Have you ever been, knee-deep in a project at home and you're just staring at a manual that makes absolutely no sense? Yeah, that exact frustration is why I built KnowDIY. It's my own personal AI assistant, and in this explainer, I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly how I built it from the ground up.
I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? You're halfway through fixing something, maybe you're crammed under a sink or trying to put together some new furniture, and the instructions are just terrible, or you can't even find them. That's the moment that really sparked this whole idea for me. I just thought there has to be a better way to get clear, solid advice right when you need it most. And so I built KnowDIY. The whole idea was to have something like a seasoned expert right in my pocket, ready to answer any question. Even if I'm in the garage or the basement where the Wi-Fi is terrible, that was the goal. A smart offline chatbot that gives you the right advice immediately. This wasn't just some random coding exercise for me. It was a real passion project to build the tool that I always wished existed.
Okay, so before we get into the nuts and bolts, let me just give you the quick highlights of what makes KnowDIY tick. First off, it can actually read and digest entire DIY handbooks, turning them into a super useful knowledge base. Then it uses Google's Gemma 3 model to give you these really clear step-by-step answers. And a huge one for me, the whole thing runs completely offline on your own machine for privacy and, convenience. I also made sure to build it in a modular way so it's easy to grow and adapt for other projects down the line.
All right, so how does KnowDIY actually think? This is where the real fun begins. I built a custom retrieval augmented generation pipeline, that's RAG for short, completely from scratch. You can think of this pipeline as the brain of the entire operation. It's what turns a boring, static PDF into a dynamic, super helpful assistant. The very first job is to teach the AI. So I start by feeding it a big DIY handbook. It's kind of like a librarian getting a new shipment of books. First, I use a tool called PyMUDF to pull all the raw text out. Then, some custom code I wrote goes through and smartly separates everything into logical topics and sections. After that, I use LangChain to break it down even further into smaller, more meaningful chunks. And then, the most critical step. Each of those little chunks gets converted into a numerical format the AI can actually understand, an embedding, using IBM's awesome Granite model. And check this out. This one little line of code is where a huge piece of the magic happens. It might not look like much, but this is me calling up that powerful IBM Granite model to turn plain old text into a vector. A vector is basically a numerical fingerprint for that piece of information. It lets the AI understand the meaning of the text, not just the words. It's just so cool that you can tap into these incredibly powerful open source tools with just a single line of code. Okay, so now the AI has all these fingerprints for all the knowledge. But how does it find the right one when you ask a question? That's the second half of the workflow. I store all those vectors in a local database called Qdrant. So when you ask something, the system zips through and finds the most relevant bits of text. But I wanted it to be extra precise, so I added another step, a re-ranker from IBM. Think of it like a second pair of eyes that double-checks the search results to find the absolute best match. Only then does Google's Gemma 3 model step in to write a clear, helpful answer, using that super relevant info. So that's the whole process in a nutshell. But you're probably wondering about the specific tools, right? I put a lot of thought into picking just the right component for each part of this system. So let's take a look at the open source tech I chose to really bring KnowDIY to life. This here is basically my open source dream team. For pulling text from PDFs, PyMuPDF was a no-brainer. It's just so fast and reliable. When it came to actually understanding the text, the IBM Granite models were the clear winner for their top-notch performance. For the database, I needed something local and fast, which made Qdrant the perfect choice. And for the brain of the whole thing, Google's Gemma 3 hit that sweet spot. It's powerful enough for great answers, but still small enough to run offline. And the glue holding it all together? Good old Python and the incredible Hugging Face ecosystem, which honestly makes building stuff like this so much more accessible. Now, having the right tech is absolutely essential, but it's really only half the battle. You can have the most powerful AI model in the world, but if you don't tell it how to behave, it's not very useful. I figured out pretty quickly that the real magic, the secret sauce that makes KnowDIY feel like a real expert, is all about how you instruct it. It's all in the prompt. To really nail the personality I wanted for KnowDIY, I created what I call a prompt policy. This isn't just one instruction, it's a whole set of really strict rules that tell the AI how to act. I needed it to sound like a true expert, direct, confident, and most importantly, I needed to be able to trust its answers. This policy is what keeps it from just making things up or hallucinating, which is crucial. And here is a perfect example of one of the most critical rules in that policy. I told the AI straight up, do not mention the knowledge base. Answer as if this is your own expert knowledge. This one tiny instruction makes a world of difference. Instead of saying, according to the text, you should do this, it just tells you what to do. It's the difference between a search engine and a true expert, and that totally changes the experience. So that's the deep dive into how I built KnowDIY. But I don't want to just leave it there. To wrap up, I want to share the biggest lessons I learned along the way, because I think you can apply them to just about any AI project you can dream up.
Honestly, building this was such an incredible learning experience. I found out that RAG pipelines are just an amazing way to give an AI specialized, custom knowledge on pretty much any topic. Local models like Gemma 3 are an absolute game changer for anyone who cares about privacy and offline access. And I was just blown away by the power of the open source community. Tools from places like Hugging Face and LangChain make this stuff possible. But, the biggest takeaway for me was that the tech is just a tool. It's the prompt, the way you instruct the AI, that turns it from a cool technology into a genuinely helpful assistant.
And that really brings me to my final thought. I built a DIY expert because, well, that's a problem I wanted to solve for myself. But this same blueprint could be used for anything. You could build a legal expert trained on case law, a kitchen assistant that knows all your favorite recipes, a coding expert. The possibilities are just endless. So the question I really want to leave you with is this: what expert will you build next?